Good morning, everybody, even though it's actually 5 p.m. I'd like to tell you a story about one of the worst living experiences I have had possibly ever. Because you see, I was taking classes over the summer, right? And I needed a place to stay because I didn't want to live in a dorm because that would have been ridiculously expensive. And so I found a place off campus and well, let's just say I don't know if a lot of houses are like this in college areas or like if this is just me having bad luck, but in either case, it was a really really messed up thing and it's just really bad how like some houses can be this low quality. And basically, so like I arrived there, right? First of all, the house looks like it hasn't been maintained in 50 years, just based on first impressions. The floor is all cracked. It's hardwood, and this over here, it's not what they looked like, but it's similar to what they look like, just to give you an idea. Um, Also, for some reason, when I went up into my room, well, there's two windows, right? They were perpendicular to each other. One had blinds that were perfectly fine, not damaged or anything. The second set of blinds, it was extended all the way down. You couldn't pull it back up because the rope was like missing. Um, and some of the blinds were literally broken off, and the whole blinds were like yellow from discoloration. So they must have been like at least a decade old at that point. I don't know. But yeah, they were in a terrible condition. I could barely even like open and close them. So yeah, I just kept them closed most of the time. So I don't know how like a house can be in this kind of condition. Because the thing is, this house in particular, it's owned by a company, and like you'd assume that they like maintain their stuff, right? But I guess they don't really do it that much. No, and here's the real kicker: like halfway through the summer semester, like the company I guess hired some like painters or something to repaint the exterior of the house, and then they hired some people to like reseed the grass outside of it and a bunch of other stuff. So like they care about the external appearance, but on the inside, like it could be a goddamn zombie apocalypse in there, and they don't care. And also, that's not even like starting the issues because the bathroom upstairs, first of all, the toilet like just would barely have any flushing force whatsoever. It would get clogged, practically like every other day, and we literally have to plunge it like that often because it could not flush anything for the life of it. Also, the toilet seat kept coming off because it wasn't like secured onto there for some reason. So it would literally slide off. And yeah, I don't know why, the toilet was so bad, but that's what that was. Also, and this was actually like a pretty big problem, like towards the end, the bathtub, for whatever reason, would not drain properly. And like you would literally like take a shower, there was a whole puddle of water like beneath you. And when you would use the sink, sometimes water would back up like up through the drain of the bathtub into the bathtub, so the bathtub would be dirty a lot. And at one point the bathtub just stopped draining altogether. And get this, the actual place in the bathtub where like the water poured out of, not the drain but the faucet, it basically would never stop dripping, right? And so eventually the bathtub like got close to flooding, and I had to buy like a bucket to like basically literally pull the water out. I mean, scoop the water out like and pour it out the window. And that's what it got to, which is so ridiculous. And I even tried to use Drano, guys, to try and fix it, but somehow Drano did not work. I don't know why. I mean, I talked to my mom after that, and she said apparently, like, I kept it in there for too long, because when it says you have to keep it for 15 minutes, like, it has to be exactly 15 minutes, and if you do it for too long, it's not going to work anymore. So maybe that's what it was. But I mean, I don't know. Surely it should be at least somewhat effective, even if you keep it for longer than usual. So I really have no clue. But yeah, it did absolutely nothing and didn't fix the problem whatsoever. So yeah, then luckily, basically the day after I bought the bucket, they did call a plumber. I don't even know if it was one of my roommates or the company, but yeah, the plumber came in, and here's the real like kicker here. So how bathtubs usually have like an access panel either on the side or on the back to fix the water if there's a problem with the plumbing. Yeah, here that door was bolted shut for some reason, literally like nailed closed. And I tried to like take it out. I tried to like pry it open, but I didn't want to damage anything, so like I didn't touch it basically. But yeah, I don't know why you'd bolt together an access panel. It seems kind of counterproductive and degenerate basically. But yeah, these guys did that for some reason. Um, and basically this plumber came with this weird like stick like pushing thing, and he would just like shove that in the drain a bunch of times, and it did end up fixing the drain finally, but I still didn't use that shower. Since then we had a shower downstairs that I used, and that one had a perfectly fine drain, so that was fine. And the bathroom downstairs, generally speaking, did not have any issues, but the one upstairs, like, it was constantly having some kind of problem or another. Yeah, it was basically just a pain in the ass to deal with. um and also the door handle to the bathroom, and also the door handles around the second floor in general, most of them were really wobbly and just badly fixed. And I tried to repair it or like tighten it, but the handle, like the mechanism in it, is like kind of broken, so I couldn't actually remove it. So yeah, and like the handle, sometimes you couldn't even lock the door, and you'd have to literally like wobble it to like get it into the right position so that it would lock. So that part was also really really dumb. And that's again why, for the most part, like especially later on when the bathroom started having more issues upstairs, I used the one downstairs basically for everything because it actually worked correctly. Um but getting back to the condition of the house in general, also like here's a picture of one of the radiators. It's literally like knocked off partially, and like there's a metal thing hanging like on the ground. There's also like rust on the floor. I don't know how that got there. Um, the living room, for some reason, I don't know if there was like a water leak or some kind of other form of water damage, but the ceiling was completely like in one particular area, just completely mangled. And I don't know if a pipe burst there or something else happened, but I don't even know how you get a ceiling to be that bad, condition wise. But it actually genuinely looked really, really awful. I mean, seriously, like, what is this? I have many questions, but I also don't really want to know. Just get it fixed, bro. Like, is it really that hard? And the company should be taking care of this. Like, you should not allow a house to be in such a crappy condition. Um, and the fact that these guys allow that is really ridiculous. Okay, the most annoying part of this whole thing was the smoke detectors. Oh my god. So the kitchen, I don't know how common this is, but for some reason the kitchen did not have an exhaust vent above the stove. So whenever I would fry something, and I only did that like twice because the both times that I did it, I ended up causing a lot of smoke. And there's a smoke alarm literally like a few feet away from the kitchen, and that would go off every time I would even slightly like cause a little bit of smoke on the stove. So I just did not do that anymore. And there was no exhaust vent, so like, it really, there was no way around it. Um, and basically, I don't know who designs smoke detectors like this, but for some reason, all the smoke detectors in the house were like linked together. So if one of them goes off, all of them go off. And I mean, on one hand, you'd think that it's practical, but in real life use, we all know smoke detectors have false alarms all the time, right? So whenever there's a false alarm, your entire house has to hear it, which is why the idea is completely brain dead and stupid. Because really, guys, like if it's an actual genuine fire, you'll probably hear one smoke detector, even if it's just one going off downstairs. And if you don't, eventually smoke will get up to your area and like set off your detectors as well. So it's really not necessary for them to all go off at once. And it's just causing false alarms to be more annoying and have to like apologize to people whenever you burn something on the stove. And this one time that I wasn't even cooking anything, basically somebody's smoke detector in their room had a low battery. And when the smoke detectors, even one of them has a low battery, it announces across every smoke detector, "Hey, replace the battery." And literally, I'd have to like hear a beeping sound every 20 seconds, and not just that, but every like 20 minutes, you'd hear a voice on the smoke detectors across all smoke detectors again saying, "Please replace the battery in so and so room." And I actually couldn't figure out exactly whose room it was coming from, and I didn't want to like go like ask people. And I'm pretty sure actually there was nobody at the house at the time. I was the only one. So at first I thought it was a smoke detector like in one of the main rooms. So basically I took that off, and I don't remember exactly what I did. I think I just like opened the battery door and then like closed it or something like that. Because I saw that the battery door was open actually. So then I put it back in just because, like, in case that fixed it somehow. I don't remember why exactly I did that. But, yeah. But then, I don't know why, for some God knows what reason, every single smoke detector just goes off across the whole house. And this was at like 11 p.m. Thank God nobody was in the house and I didn't wake anybody up because that would have been super embarrassing. But yeah, literally every smoke detector in the entire house just started going off. And like, it wouldn't turn off. And so I was just panicking for like 15 minutes. Like, what the hell did I do? How do I fix this? And eventually I was able to fix it by just pressing the tester button, and that shut them up. But needless to say, my ears were ringing after that, and I had a headache for that night, and it was generally just a really, really big pain in the ass. What else is there to say? Oh yeah, the halls, they're all lit up by the same lights that you see in like school hallways, so like those industrial, really unpleasant lights. Let's see. Oh yeah. So the washers and dryers in this apartment, they were paid. It was like $1.50 for both the washer and the dryer. The washer was fine. The dryer was a complete absolute joke, okay? It would not dry anything like for the life of it. Literally, I'd put in clothes, I'd pay the $1.50, and then an hour later, like, they would come out still wet. And the fact that they have the audacity to charge money for that, like, genuinely offends me. Also, the person who I was supposed to get the key from for my room, he actually forgot to mail it out. So I had to remind him like a week later to do that. But then when it was traveling in the mail, it tore through the envelope. So I literally just received an empty envelope with nothing in it, which I don't know if that's bad luck or like to be expected, but yeah. And that was just incredibly annoying because it was literally a whole thing. Because first he actually mailed it to the wrong address, so he had to remail it. And then when he actually got the right address, this time the key was gone. So that was also just pretty infuriating. It's not his fault or anything. It's just unfortunate how that happened, and just adds on to my really crappy experience in this house in general. Also, there's just one time where I came back from classes. I heard something like, shuffling in the kitchen. So I went there, and there was a squirrel eating trash, right out of the bin. And then when it saw me, it ran out through the window because that's how it got in. So that was also pretty weird. Also, one more small comment about the living room. For some reason, a lot of the chairs there were torn up and like really worn out. So I don't know how that happened, but that's also kind of worth mentioning. And also the furniture in the house in general was very old and like questionably unmaintained. And for example, even in my room, the desk that I had, the main drawer in the center, like it was a lockable drawer, but the actual like key mechanism was extended, so like I couldn't slide it all the way in because the key thing was like preventing it from doing that. So I ended up just removing the drawer in general because I didn't want it to like stick out and like poke me in the stomach when I'm sitting at the desk. So that was also kind of weird. And my bed was super creaky. Again, I'm guessing because it's old as hell, and like I don't know why this company doesn't like replace the furniture every couple of years, because that's what they should do. At least if the furniture is bad quality, because if it's actually like good, reliable furniture, then yeah, I don't really care. But this is just unacceptable, guys. Come on. Or how like my bed, the mattress on it, it was like a size between full and twin, but it was like in between those. So like the actual mattress sheet that I had could not fit like on this mattress because my sheet was too large. Because again, the mattress was not like a standard size. So every morning the sheet would like slide off and I'd have to like put it back on. So I really have no clue what kind of mattress that was, but I'm guessing it's also some really old standard. So yeah, that was also like really weird and pretty annoying to deal with. So yeah, this house was just generally like all over the place. I don't know why it was in such an awful condition and like why the company isn't bothering to fix it, but it's really negligent on their behalf. And again, it's also like kind of college students in general not really caring about the quality of their homes, I feel like. But in either case, like both the company and the college students should take better care of their housing. The only real good note that I can leave off on is that the internet for the most part was fine, except at the beginning, like literally in the first few days, I had to reset the router because the Wi-Fi stopped working. But then after that, it ran completely smoothly without any issues. So that's I guess a good thing. But that's about the only good thing about this apartment, to be honest. Luckily, I will be getting a nicer one later on in the fall. So hopefully that is not going to have any issues with it. And yeah, guys, that ends today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did enjoy it, please do consider hitting that like and subscribe button. As always, this was your captain speaking. Peace out. Love.